Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into the history of marketing. And here's the surprising part. We're going to discover that for most of its history, it had almost nothing to do with the customer.
So, let's start with a really basic question. What do you think marketing actually is? Is it just about selling stuff? I mean, sure, that's part of it, but the real story of how marketing evolved is way more complex and honestly, a lot more interesting.
You know, this quote from back in 1980 really hits the nail on the head. Marketing isn't some universal rulebook. It's really a mirror, reflecting the economy and the society of its time. And because of that, it has changed in ways you probably wouldn't expect.
To really get our heads around this, we're going to break down its evolution into two parts. First, we'll look at how the actual practice of marketing, the day-to-day stuff, got totally transformed out in the real world. And then we'll see how the thinking about marketing, the academic side, tried to keep up.
Okay, let's dive in. We're going to start in an era that is pretty hard to even imagine today. A time when a company's biggest problem wasn't finding customers, but just making enough stuff to sell in the first place.
So, from the late 1800s all the way up to about 1930, we were in what's called the production orientation. Demand for pretty much everything was so high that if you could make it, you could sell it. It's that simple. The entire focus was on the factory floor.
Just think about how different the business world was then. Demand was through the roof, and there was hardly any competition. That meant the customer, well, they were kind of irrelevant. The whole game was just about making your factory more efficient because profit was just something that happened when you did that well.
So of course, their sales pitch would have been incredibly simple, right? No need for catchy slogans or trying to pull at heartstrings. You have a product, they have a need. That's it. Transaction done.
But then, everything changed. Mass production got, well, a little too good. And for the first time ever, really, companies had more stuff than they had customers. This is what kicked off the sales orientation.
This whole era was really sparked by huge events like the Great Depression. All of a sudden, supply was way bigger than demand. The goal wasn't about making things efficiently anymore, it was about getting rid of the inventory you already had. And this, right here, is where those aggressive, hard sell tactics that we all know were born.
And you can totally see that shift in the sales pitch. It's all about persuasion now. It's even a little gimmicky. The whole focus is on the product's features, creating a sense of urgency, anything to just move that product off the shelves. Okay, so that whole hard sell thing sets the stage for the next massive shift, which brings us a lot closer to the modern era we all recognize. An era where, finally, the customer gets to be the star of the show. After World War II, the world changed again. Production was massive, markets were packed, and competition was everywhere. And businesses had this huge light bulb moment. They realized they had to stop trying to sell whatever they could make and instead start making what they could actually sell. And that's when we enter the marketing orientation.
This was a total 180 from before. Now, the customer was the starting point for everything. Instead of the company telling people what they should want, the customer's own needs and desires started driving what got made in the first place. A huge change.
And look at how the pitch gets transformed. It's not really about the water anymore, is it? It's about you, the customer. It's about your identity, your dreams, your story. The product becomes a prop for you to become the person you want to be.
And that brings us right up to today, where things get even weirder and more interesting. We're in an age some people call postmodern marketing, where the lines between the company and the consumer are just completely dissolving.
The big thing to get here is that thanks to the internet and social media, marketing is becoming a team sport. It's not about marketing to people anymore. It's about marketing with them. We're talking co-creation, building actual communities, and a desperate need for authenticity.
This pitch just perfectly nails the new way of thinking. The focus isn't even about quenching thirst anymore. It's about building a tribe, a shared experience. The customer isn't just a wallet. They're a creative partner.
So, we've seen this incredible evolution in how marketing is done. But what about how it's thought about? Let's switch gears and look at our second act, the academic world's quest to figure out and maybe even control what makes the market tick.
The academic side of marketing went through its own journey. It started in the early 1900s as just a little offshoot of economics. Over the next few decades, it got more serious, it professionalized. But the biggest shift, the real game changer, happened in the mid-20th century when academics became obsessed with one big idea, turning marketing into a real science.
And this created this fundamental tension that honestly is still with us today. Was marketing a creative art something based on gut feelings and human connection? Or could it be a hard science, something driven by data, formulas, and prediction? You know, just like physics.
This whole quest to turn marketing into a predictive science, it brings up a huge question, not just about its past, but about where it's all heading.
Well, as critics like Sumantra Ghoshal have pointed out, maybe this whole attempt to turn the study of unpredictable human beings into a hard science was a huge mistake from the very beginning.
And that leaves us with one last, kind of provocative thought to chew on. A scientific approach works perfectly for planets because their behavior follows these fixed, unbreakable laws. But people, we're messy. Our choices are emotional, they depend completely on the situation. So what if there are no universal laws of marketing? And if that's true, what in the world does that mean for the future of how businesses try to connect with us?